What's going on, everyone? Thrift Barringer here, live from Smith Station High School. Finally, we're doing a sitting with an athletic director, state of the programs here at Smith Station, and I am with my good friend and new athletic director of the Smith Station Panthers. His name is Bryan Eason. Bryan, thank you so much for allowing us to do this.
Man, thank you for doing this. I just told a couple people before this started what y'all do for athletics around here and y'all's energy. The community everywhere, Georgia and Alabama, needs to feed off of this because this is what high school sports is about, and y'all do an absolutely amazing job of doing this stuff.
I appreciate that, Bryan, and we're excited about being here. I feel like Smith Station is an untapped market that has the ability as a sleeping giant to really get to the next level. I really do believe in this school, this community, and I'm glad that we're going to be a big part of the future. But Bryan, first things first. Unlike a lot of the ADs, because we're going to have several new ones from our coverage area. There's 16 high schools. We're bound to have some new ones. But with you, we want you to tell your story. Okay, so instead of me asking you a bunch of questions, I'm going to let you start from the very beginning. Where'd you play high school ball? What'd you do after high school? Did you go to college and play? And what led you ultimately into coaching and this opportunity here at Smith Station? The floor is yours. Tell us your story, Bryan.
I lull everybody to sleep for the first couple of minutes, right? I'm actually a Pacelli graduate. I played for Nathan Rustin, who's a legendary name around here.
Yeah.
He passed away when I was in school, and Kevin Pettis took over, and I played football, baseball, and wrestling. Did all three. I don't think my parents liked me in the house very much. They just kept me busy doing things.
Right.
But no, I loved every second of it. And then when I went to school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. A big dream of mine, I wanted to be a lawyer. That was something that was like in the back of my mind. I'll be honest, the schoolwork was not my favorite thing at that point in my life.
A lot of schoolwork for a lawyer,
yeah.
Bryan.
And then I was like, well, maybe I'll be a firefighter.
Right.
And then actually what led me into the path was Kevin Pettis saw me at a game and said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to school. I was working at a gym in town. And he said, you're going to start coaching my son's Little League team. And I said, how old are they? So, and believe it or not, Dr. McCluskey, who's one of our new coaches,
right,
his son was on that team, and Trey Pettis was his son. I started coaching, and it took me one practice to fall in love with coaching.
Wow.
And the next year, I got hired on as community coach, finished my degree up. My first actual job was as a defensive coordinator. That would have been, no, I take that back. I'm sorry. I was a linebacker coach at Pacelli. Then the next year, Jeff Battles took over, and I became his defensive coordinator. And then by the time I was teaching, I got certified. I did history. I did AP microeconomics. And for any of those kids that ever took that class, I am sorry. But I didn't do about as much as I was doing as they wanted me to know. That first year teaching, that was tough.
Right. Especially that subject, man.
Yeah, and trying to be a coach. I was coaching I was single, so football, wrestling, and baseball. I was doing all three.
That was your life.
Yeah, that was my life. So that's all I ever did. And from there, I ended up being the head football coach at Pacelli. It was the biggest learning lesson of my life. Everybody, I'm going to say this, any young coaches are watching, and I learned firsthand. You want to be a head coach, don't miss the steps.
Right.
It's easy to say I want to be a head coach, that honeymoon period, and then going there and doing it. If I could ever do it again, I would completely change the way I did it because I just wasn't ready.
Right.
I was 21, 22 years old as head football coach. Yeah, I was young. And I know Blair likes to talk about how he got me. I said, I'll coach against you now. I'm a lot older now, just messing with him. But no, that's right. I got into that. And it was time for me to take a step back and go on a journey. I'm really close to Smitty Grider. He hired me out of Pacelli to go out to Beauregard. And I started off being outside linebacker, special teams coordinator, kind of built my way up there. And then after that, he took a really good opportunity at Park Crossing, thought about going with him, and back and forth. And that's the point when I actually got married, and I was commuting from Columbus to Beauregard, and our turnover, my wife was working a job, and she was working for a marketing for PGA.
Right.
So, like, my on time was her downtime, and then my off time was her go time.
Right.
So we never saw each other. And so I actually applied for Smith's and for Central. At that time, Central offered me an opportunity to coach, but said, you got to wait on a coaching job, but it'll come open. And single, I'm like, yeah, okay. But I'm like, now I'm married. I don't know. And Joaquin Richards hired me here, and I ended up being the defensive coordinator and special teams coordinator. Don't ever do that in your life. In a 7A school for Coach Duke. He gave me an opportunity. We had a really good football team. That was a really good football team. They were fun to coach. And then I worked for Fawcett for a year, and then Coach DuBose reached out and wanted me to come in and be a special teams coordinator, DB coach for him, or I coach safeties. and I worked for him, and I worked for him, and I worked for him, and I worked for him. And then when he retired, I always loved it here. It's just a family place. Normally my daughter's running around terrorizing things. It's a family place, and I love my 8 to 4 here. It's I always tell people it's a gigantic private school. And I came back. Me and Mike Liston are about as close as they get. I was his assistant head football coach, a defensive coordinator. We had some really good runs, did some good things. I always say we were so close in that group to doing something special. It was just we could never either have a point that something fell our way or we didn't earn that point. We were always close.
Right.
And Mike moved on with his career, and my wife and me had a conversation, and she said to me, I said, I still want to be a head football coach again, yada, yada, yada. And she looked at me and she goes, what else do you want to accomplish with football? And I started thinking about it. And at the point I had a 2-year-old. My daughter, she was 6-7 weeks old when we were in the state championship game. And it, by the way, if you don't remember, it was like 15 degrees that night. Freezing. And I'm like, I started thinking about it. I said, I've got 2 rings, been there 4 times in multiple sports. I've been a head coach. I don't have anything else to do. So I literally woke up the next morning, signed up for the classes to get my administration degree.
All right.
And a year later, I started chasing jobs. And Adam came up to me. I applied for the AP job here.
Right.
So he said, I got to meet with you. Can we have a talk? And so I'm thinking to myself, this is either a bad thing or this is an opportunity. I'm thinking AP.
Right.
And he said, well, how would you want to feel to be an athletic director? And I did it the worst way possible. I said, absolutely. That's the first thing that came out of my mouth. I didn't question it. I didn't ask price. I just wanted to do it. This is my passion. I miss the kids. I try to do things where kids are around so I can spend time with them. I've always been a person that I do better around kids than I do with that's just my niche.
Right.
And that part's been the hardest. But sharing ways to do things with some of the coaches now has definitely been something I'm enjoying and getting, I guess, more used to.
Right.
And I guess they're getting used to me.
Right.
Because I'm a pest. I'm everywhere.
I love every second of it, man.
That's kind of a nutshell, my story of how I got here.
And I'm glad you talked about that, getting an opportunity at such a young age. I got to go back to that, man. At 21, 22 years old, I'm going back to when I was there. I knew everything. No one could tell me anything otherwise. I had all the answers. Mm-hmm. What was that experience like? And maybe being humbled a little bit, saying, I don't know everything. Maybe I do need to step aside and kind of reflect and look back and what can I do better? How was that experience like at such a young age?
Well, there's 2 things I've taken away to this job now.
Right.
The first one is my dad. When I got the job, my dad's a pretty intelligent man, been around leadership things, military guy. One of the first things he ever said to me was, you're only going to be successful as the people you hired around.
Right.
And at 21 years old, I got good people, Dad. And it's nothing towards the people I had, but I never evaluated that. I never understood what that meant at that age.
Right.
And I've carried that now. I want to make sure the people we surround these kids with are successful, and I do not want to be the smartest person in the room.
Right.
I never want to be. If I am, we're in trouble. That was something I've maybe carried. And I'll tell you something else that I carried over for it. Failure and success does not have to go by the production of what you do on a field.
Right.
I truly believe now in my life, it's the path that you go to get there, the roadblocks that you overpass, the moments that you get better in something. We as a civilization, society, forget that those micro moments are what make you. And when you fail and how you respond to it, that's what really makes you the person you are. And I've kind of taken those moments from it. And that also, I'll never hire a 22-year-old head football coach ever in my life.
I love that, man.
I won't hire myself.
But I love the reflecting moments of stuff like that because I do it all the time. But for one, it is unique to be hired at that young of an age. It shows you how bright of a mind you are. But also now looking back on it, saying, hey, there's some things I probably could have done better at. And I completely agree with you. Now more than ever, especially in the high school, it can't be measured on wins and losses because some people don't have the resources nor the talent that maybe other coaches have. Does that make them less than a coach? No. If they're developing, they're doing stuff right for the boys and girls' lives, then I feel like they're a successful coach.
That's our big word around here. We've kind of brought, and come July 1st, it'll be kind of stapled on everything around here. Our big slogan's been develop/win. That's been our big thing. And the development of the kids is the number one thing I want to see, no matter what sport it is, what they're doing. From the moment it goes into strength conditioning to stretching, whatever it is, it's about the development of the student athlete. And I think if we do those things right, they'll naturally take care of itself. And we're seeing it right now. This month has been It's been really fun to sit back a couple times and just drive around and stop and watch how many different sports are doing things. And as a guy that coached football his whole life until 2 years ago, to be able to get in my truck and go watch baseball, lift weights, and then go watch volleyball. I tell you what, they do some torturous things with that ball now. That's interesting to me. They're hitting absolute seeds at each other. And then you get to see that. Then you see all the work cheerleading putts in and all the creativity there.
Right.
It's unbelievable to see it all as like an overall masterpiece. You know, it's impressive. It really is.
Bryan, I do got to ask about Smith Station. Why was this the right opportunity? Adam Johnson is the principal. He made the hire. You, the superintendent, which I was able to meet, who was awesome at the groundbreaking of the new athletic facility, which we'll get into here later on. Talk about those guys and why you felt like, because again, when you take on this opportunity, you got to have a culture set. You got to have all be on the same page. How important was it? Hey, if I'm going to come do this, I want to be with someone that knows how important sports are. And I think you're getting that with Adam and the superintendent.
Absolutely. So like everywhere I've been that's been successful, early in my career, when I first got into coaching, I was with Pettis. That was the 2 back-to-back undefeated Pacelli teams, and I had Matt Dunham at running back. It was not because of me. I just told him go left or right. I mean, but you know, I got kind of spoiled there. The people that like that. But from that point to Beauregard, we had success. At Central, we made all those runs. It's always been the same pedigree to me. You got to have what I've called over the years the triple-headed monster. And we've had it every time those places have hit. It's been that triple-headed monster where that everything wants success. And right now we have that. You have Dr. Howard at the top. He wants the entire county to be successful. I mean, he's not just doing things, and I say this for the whole county area. It's not just Smith Station. It's all the schools. Lochapoka getting upgrades, Beauregard getting their field redone. I mean, it is stuff going on everywhere. Beulah just got a brand new field. So it's doing a lot of great things there. But then you turn around to Adam. I mean, I'm the luckiest AD in the world. I have Adam as a principal who's an ex-AD. You have Shannon now as the assistant principal who is an ex-AD. And every AP on staff has been a coach at some level in 7A. So, like, I have, like, an entire coaching administration above me. And my third monster from my seat is, I'll say it, we have Blair Harrison. That to me is the perfect storm because I'm not just trying to dive into just football, but that's the start of the marathon. You know, you got to set the pace early, and we have that now, and I'm really excited about it. I've been spoiled. I've been given the keys to the kingdom, and I'm going to do everything in my power to keep it rolling.
I can't wait. And we are live right now in the indoor weight room, which is pretty fantastic here at Smith Station. You've never been on the campus. It is a beautiful campus that is for everyone to come and see, and I've enjoyed being here, Bryan. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back from break, though, we're going to talk all things Smith Station. Bryan has made quite a few hires for different sports. We're going to talk about those hires, who leading all the different sports here at Smith Station. What are some of the new things coming up, including that new indoor athletic facility and more? It's Sitting with an Athletic Director, State of the Programs on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
I'm always on the go. But with the Kinetic Credit Union app, Kinetic is always with me. The Kinetic mobile app is virtual banking at its best. With the Kinetic mobile app, I can easily send and receive money, make a deposit, pay some bills, and I can even open up a new account, all from my phone. And I can monitor all my accounts in one place, all on the go. The Kinetic mobile app, energized banking at its best.
Kinetic Credit Union, the energy for your dreams.
Welcome back to Sitting with an Athletic Director, State of the Programs. We're at Smith Station High School, and I'm with the head man of all Smith Station athletics, Bryan Eason, longtime coach around this area, and now he is the AD of the Panthers, trying to get them back to prominence, which I think he can in the not-too-distant future, including some big projects coming to kind of elevate the school and give the best experience for all these student-athletes, Bryan. But the first thing we're going to start with is football, because you just made mention of it. It's a tone setter, okay? If you have a good football season, it sets the tone for winning for all the other sports. So when you decided, and this is one of your first hires, who's going to be leading that program? You knew how big football is in this community. Friday nights, they shut down the whole town to come out here to watch their Panthers. Why was Blair Harrison the right choice for you?
Blair Harrison has always been a person I've watched with his way of doing things in a game, his philosophy. It's such a disciplined style. And I've said for years here, when you take a football team that he's type of players he's had in the past, there's been many times as a coach, and I hate to say this, when you look on the hoof, when I was coaching against him, it wasn't, you look at your kids, it's a different style of kids. And it didn't matter with his kids. They were always extremely well in shape. They were extremely disciplined. And the way they created angles, I've said this before in my coaching years, there's 3 offensive coordinators I never figured out, and he was one of the 3. And I live and die for defense. And he was always impressive. And just the way they did things, the way they approached the game, the way they dressed, the way they jogged onto the field, the way he presented himself, I felt like that was me and him have talked for years. And I always thought to myself in my head, man, if he was ever the head football coach at Smith Station, he is the guy that would do special things here. I had said it in my head for such many years. And when everything happened, I don't know if this story's been told or not already, but immediately the first name in my head was Blair's. And I get a text message as I'm thinking this, and it's Jeff Battles. And he said, have you talked to Blair? So I immediately call. Well, Blair's right next to him the whole time. I had no idea. I'm like, yeah, I would love to have him. He said, well, just call him. And the entire time Blair's going, yeah, call me. So I'm like, well, I would have just shoot me a text. I'd have talked to you. But that's kind of how it started. And I was really excited from there because I know what he does for the community. I know what he does for football. And I know the brand he brings. It will be a class act. And I've said this so many years here. I've seen us do great. I got to see this team when they were in the quarters against McGill, where they were so close to making it in the year they beat Auburn. They made such a big run that year. Man, this place, man, it packs out for football. I've never seen nothing like it. And getting an opportunity to get him here, I'm ready, looking forward to what's going to happen.
Yeah, I am too, Coach. And I do want you to kind of talk about he's able to put together a staff. How important was that to allow him to bring in guys he's comfortable with, to lay his foundation, his culture and stuff? And I know you also, we got your notes and there's some key contributors that are coming back for next season, but talk about how important him putting together a elite level staff was for this to be successful.
Well, being in 7A most of my career, you kind of look at like where people have been successful in places where you've seen teams that might have that opportunity, but you see where they're lacking. And the number one thing for me is having the ability to have coaches on your staff to be able to be individualized in 7A. 7A sports, especially in this area, are completely, I tell people all the time, it's a Division II college.
Yeah.
You have a kid that plays at this level, it doesn't matter what school you're at, they're a very good athlete. They are. This is the top of the top. And our area is, I would argue with anybody, as tough as any in the country.
100%.
It's unbelievable. I've been on both ends of it. It's everywhere. And you see it, you got to be able to coach your kids. And when he first came in the door, if I'm not mistaken, the number was we had 4 coaches left that were still here when he came in. And, of course, his immediate radar was we got to get coaches. And we spent every afternoon on the phone with each other, splitting off, jumping to coaches that we were pushing to get here. We just went to work. And now, right now, with our community coaching and varsity on staff, we went from 4 plus a head coach. Now we have 14 plus a head coach. So that number has, in just football. Now they're coaching other sports for us, but the jump was extremely drastic.
That's awesome.
And I'm not gonna lie, I try to sneak when I do some of the field maintenance during practice so I can watch, and I love seeing the pods of different coaching and the individual, the development, my word that I like to use, it's there. And there's this constant movement. It's just constant little things going on. I said, this is the way 7A is supposed to be. So I'm really excited about it.
I do want you to kind of put this out there for the community, and I'll say it too. Expectations, it shouldn't be about wins or losses this first year. It's about setting the tone and laying the foundation. So what is, for the community out there that's asking, hey, what are we expecting? We expecting to win 8 or 9 games, beat Central this year. Can it finally happen, Coach? What's your message to everyone out there about, hey, give us some time. I promise you in the next couple of years, we'll have a program rolling.
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's for sure. But I can promise this, the mindset and the message in here is everything to develop and win. That is the message going on now. That is the development in the weight room right now with the on-field running. That message is being planted. And you got to plant seeds, and you got to let the plant grow.
Right.
And that is definitely going on right now. And I'm not going to sit there and give a story saying, oh, we're going to be good in 3 years. That's not what I'm saying, because that's not fair to the kids that are here now.
Right.
No, we're going out, we're getting better. And I know we're getting better, and I'm still in a good friend of mine's statement. We're getting 1% better every day.
I love it.
I
Corey Black, that's for you, baby.
Corey, that's for you, buddy. I love that statement. But 1% every day, get better. And there's days they jump the gauntlet, and they're going 5-6% better. And it's been seen, the 2 7-on-7s they've done, they've just skyrocketed fast. And I'm so excited. And the thing that I'm liking right now is our culture. Man, I was out there at 7-on-7 Hardaway. There's drones flying over my head. I feel like we're in a daggone combat zone. People are jumping up and screaming down. And me and my principal are sitting there watching. I'm going, this is how it's supposed to be. This is excitement. Hardaway kids were jumping around, having a good time. Our kids were. It was true competition. People are watching. Like it's a middle of a June day at daggone 11 o'clock, 11:30, and people are against the fence. Kids are getting excited, jump around. It's hot. Nobody cares.
Right.
I said, that's what it's supposed to be.
100%, man.
So, yeah.
We're excited about this upcoming year. And last thing about Blair, because we do need to move on and talk about the myriad of other sports that we got here at Smith Station. But him being a former AD, I know that's going to be something that you can use as a resource as well. Guy that's led Shaw the last couple of years and done a great job revitalizing a lot of programs there. I think that can be a good resource for you, not only just as a football coach, but as an AD as well.
Absolutely. I've always respected him. I've always, anytime I've ever needed something, I had a question, he'd be a guy I go to. And I told him, I said, when he tells me things, I soak it in because he's been through this, he understands. And there's times he'll pull me offside and say something, and I take it full-heartedly because I know he's been there, and he's got a little bit more, I'm going to pick on him, a little bit more age than me. So it's always good to hear him tell you things because he is a smart man, and he cares about not just football. He cares about the school. I mean, he came in day one. It was about Smith Station, and that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, 100%. Now let's move on and talk about some of the other fall sports. Cross country. I always say, and I'm going to say it every time I do one of these ADs, so if you get tired of it, I'm sorry. I commend the athletes that are running miles upon miles in the hottest part of the year in Georgia and Alabama. Those are incredible athletes that got the best stamina. Who's leading the cross-country program?
So one of our new hires for our female, Ashley Kelso. So like my first experience with her is I'm at the last year. I knew I'd been offered the opportunity for the job, but I was kind of waiting for all the kinks to work out and everything. Right. So I'm at the track meet, and there is this lady, and she is just like 100 miles an hour in the early spring from 8 o'clock that morning to 5 and just going back and forth, barking. People are moving. It was impressive to watch. And so then I find out that we're looking at hiring, and her name comes. I said, is that the lady? I said, oh, yeah, that has to happen. She does a phenomenal job. She keeps it's almost like she has a military background to her. And what they're doing, the cross-country team is running early in the mornings. I've run the course nowhere near like they do. I do a truffle shuffle. But that is a heck of a cross-country course, climbing hills, going through all these different areas. And a lot of it's on grass, and that's a different world. So, like, they're running right now. And then Coach Pennington, longtime coach here, coached football for many years, been our track and cross-country coach, played at Auburn University. If I'm not mistaken, he played for Bowden, I think is who he actually played for. Came from Charles Henderson, legendary track guy. He's doing our boys, doing a phenomenal job. And that world, so like the first time I tried to like travel around and see practices, I knew that early, so like, perfect, I can go see cross-country first. I'm thinking in my head, oh, there's probably 10, 15 kids. Oh, no, there's like 50 kids out there running. Smokes. It's unbelievable. And then the junior high comes in at like 7:30 at night, and they're running around out there. And it's amazing how many kids do cross country. And the elite ones, the ones in front, man, that's a different world.
I love it, man.
Oh man, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they got a couple of kids that I'm looking forward to see. Trace Zay, I have to make sure I say his name right, is a returning boy that's doing really well. He's a track cross country guy. I watched him run the other day. I'm like, I can run that fast about 5 feet. And then he's doing it for a 5K. It's pretty impressive. And then we have Alyssa McSpadden. I was actually talking about her this morning. I was watching her. My daughter came out the video watching it, and she can absolutely fly. It's impressive to watch those two.
I love it, man. I love that we're promoting this in their season, already preparing for it because they start right in the middle of August. Another sport that is in the fall but starts a little bit later, which is flag football. It is the biggest growing sport in America. I firmly believe it, Bryan.
It's unbelievable. It's fun to watch, and it took off so fast.
Yes, it did, man. In this area specifically, we have multiple teams like Central National Champion. Pacelli was up in the national ranks last year and state champion. We got a bunch of great teams. Harris County made multiple Final Four state championship appearances. Columbus was in the state championship. It's a growing sport in this area alone.
We were the first ever in the state championship game. The first year was ever here. We
exactly
lost the state
right.
finals. Yep. That official should be fined for that call, by the way. Just want to say that on live. But, it is fun to watch. I'm actually good. This was my first year to get to watch it.
Yeah.
Because, I've always been around the football world, so never get to see it. This year I'm going to be able to sit down and watch it. It's fun to watch. It is an absolute fast-paced air raid game. I think what makes it so interesting is how the field's condensed.
Right.
You know, I always tell people, you force the field thinner, it creates a faster game, and it is a fast-paced game because you got to work vertically, and it's really fun to watch. And these girls are great athletes, man, and they can run, and they're competitive. Ooh, they're competitive. I sometimes will tell the guys, hey, you need to be more like that. They don't like things not to go their way.
Right.
And this is a good group coming in. And of course, everybody talks about how Central is going to be, and Auburn too, and the other teams. But this is a pretty good little team. The coaching staff stuck together. This staff's been together for a couple of years. Coach King, Bassinet, Coach Coleman. We've added some people this year. Coach Hanners is the new one we're adding to it. We're excited about that. We've got some people coming in, just trying to add more to it. They just came back from their little Troy camp. They just did. They have a 7-on-7, 4 females, and they did a great job. I had a couple of girls pop some elite times in there, running wise.
Awesome.
We got one girl, she can fly. It's so fun to watch her. And then we've been back. Brooke, our quarterback, she might be one of the best athletes in the school. She'll be a junior this year, and she's a really fun athlete, multi-sport athlete that we have here at the school. So it's exciting for them.
Can't wait for flag football. I'm telling you, if you've never been to a flag football match, you're going to want to watch it. Smith Station, one of the forefront people that really got it off the ground running and made a state championship appearances. Who knows? And maybe can do it again this year. Another sport that I had the pleasure of calling last year, and it's very exciting, a lot of energy, is volleyball. If you've never been to a volleyball match, I'm telling you, if you don't think those girls are athletes, go out there and try to play against them because you'll probably be embarrassed for sure. Who's leading the volleyball program, and how excited are you about
So
them?
Coach Manderson's our head coach. And I never went to a practice the other day. They had their first practice, and they just came back from Florida State. They went to a Florida State. I'm sorry, they're getting ready to go to Florida State for a camp. I apologize. So I got to watch, and when I walked into the room, I was like, holy cow, our girls' volleyball team is extremely large. I mean, like height. I don't mean that disrespectfully.
Right.
And I'm watching them, and they are in an absolute intense practice. We have Coach Bates on our staff, who's an assistant basketball and played volleyball at Alabama State. I think I'm correct in saying that.
Yep.
And she was doing some drill work with the girls, and I'm watching. I'm like, this is intense. And I'm actually really excited. Senior loaded team. I was looking at the roster because
Big expectations.
Oh, big expectations. And they've got some length. They got some athleticism. We returned one of our best players, Mackenzie Lester. I know she's a really good athlete, multi-sport athlete. And then we have Jada Armstrong. Her brother's Michael Bonner, the defensive end that's got a couple of offers places. Both of them are great athletes. And watching them play, and they're in practice, very intense. So I agree. Watching and Coach Bates, I would never want to get in her way of her hitting volleyball because it is an absolute rocket.
You're going to get a bit.
So I'm going to get out of the way. Yeah, that's right.
Now, cheerleading. Yes, we got the competition part, which I want to talk about. But when it comes to Friday nights, they laid the foundation. They create the atmosphere. They're important to game nights. But they're more than that. They're athletes that also compete at a high level. So who's leading the cheerleading program, and how important are they to not only football but basketball or any sporting event, pep rallies, whatever it may be?
I think people forget what cheerleaders do outside of you seeing them creating a show at a football game or even their competition. They're the ones that create the banners. They also do the pep rallies. It's the amount of stuff on their plate's unbelievable. And Coach Blaine is one of the most organized and true Smith Station people I've ever been around. She's also our head strength coach. I don't think she sleeps. It's unbelievable. And like this morning, they have their first thing in the morning, 7 o'clock. They're working out. Our girls cheerleading team. Then they're doing their stuff. A lot of them are going to different places, doing their tumbling and stuff like that.
Right.
But then you got to think about. Then they turn around as we get closer to season. They'll go through their practices, have their afternoon stuff with school, and then they're creating signs to put in the locker room, signs to put up in the school, and then they're still working on the routine. It's just unbelievable. You don't realize it until you just really sit back, and I have a lot of respect. And we're excited. They got some new gear this year. They got the new SSHS flags. I'm really excited about that. They look really clean. They'll be able to use it in competition, and hopefully scoring some touchdowns. They'll be running that thing back and forth and watching ROTC do some push-ups behind them. So I'm excited about that.
I love it, man, and I can't wait to see them in competition. We're going to take a break. That's all the fall sports. We got winter coming up, and, of course, spring. It is Sitting with an Athletic Director. Say the programs. Bryan, Eason, and Smith Station here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Hi, my name is Griff Gordy, and here at Gordy Eye Care, we have been serving the Bi-City community for 17 years. As a former state championship quarterback I love the fact that I can watch local high school athletics from the comfort of my own home. So it was a no-brainer to support Georgia Alabama Sports Live and what they do for young athletes in our area.
And without business like yourself, Gordy Eye Care, none of our coverage would be possible. To be able to cover the 16 different high schools, the local colleges, and professional teams. So we'd like to say thank you to you, Dr. Griff Gordy, and Gordy Eye Care for your support of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And then you can make an appointment today at Gordy Eye Care with the number 334-291-5125. Keep supporting Gordy Eye Care and keep watching Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Welcome back, everyone, to Smith Station High School. Thrift Barringer, Bryan, Eason, sitting with an athletic director, state of the programs. And I got a very passionate guy that is, I'm telling you, I said this over and over again. I think I've been a pretty big advocate for you and Blair Harrison. I said, give it some time, but I really think the biggest surprise this upcoming year is going to be Smith Station. It may not be in wins and losses. It may be more just how the overall look and competitive nature for all the sports. I really like the hires you made, Coach, and I'm excited about the 2025-2026 year. We're in winter now. Let's go to basketball. Got two pretty good basketball coaches. Let's talk about boys first. Armand Ingersoll, son of a legendary coach around this area, did a really good job the last couple of years. Talk about him and his program.
Coach Ingersoll might be here more than anybody on campus. I like to claim I'm a lot, but there's times I pull up like, man, Coach Ingersoll's here. I get really, Coach Ingersoll's here. I better go find something to do in my office.
But I got to look for it.
Yeah, he grinds, man. And he's been like that as far back. And I remember watching him. He's older than me. He graduated from Shelley too. And his dad was a legendary coach there. Him and Nathan were so close. But watching him as an athlete, him and his brother, they were great high school athletes. And that competitive nature and that grind that was taught on them has been really carrying over to our basketball. One of the major things we pushed when I took the jobs, I told everybody, I said, part of our development is going to be we're going to live in the weight room. And I got to say, our basketball team, our boys especially, they have taken that and held true to that. I was actually worried they're going to be in here today for this, but today's one of their running days. But they'll be back in here tomorrow, and they grind in this weight room. And it's just because of Coach Ingersoll.
Right.
Got a really good he called me, said, hey, I got this guy. I got to have him. I said, let's get him. And so, we just brought him on board, just got board approved. But Devontae's now on board. Devontae Brown is on board.
Which was a phenomenal athlete. I actually played pickup ball with him. We played college basketball against each other. I'm talking about one of the best basketball players. And just overall great guy. I thought it was a home run hire.
Yeah, and I got to watch him a little bit in practice, man. Man, he's an old soul now. He's methodical. He's in there grinding. It's got that look. I'm like, that's a coach.
Right.
Man, I've been highly impressed with him. And I'm excited about him. Had to steal him from Old Muskogee County. So we're excited to have him. But, man, he's gonna be something special. I hope to keep on to him, but he's going to be a head coach soon. We're just trying to get him ready for that opportunity. But super excited. And then we got one of our football coaches. I got to brag on him. Joe Jones is one of our assistants in basketball.
Okay.
And you talk about an energy bug. Came from Harris County and just loves basketball and football. Coach Ingersoll, when I took the job, me and him, one of the first people I met was him. And we actually met in the cafeteria, and he told me his concerns. And one of the major ones, I got to get help. I said, let's go get it. That ain't no problem. And we were able to pull together some names and stuff like that. And he's got a pretty good little staff now. And I think I can see he's a little bit happier. He ain't trying to be Han Solo out there anymore. He's got some guys, and they're putting the work in. And they have had a really good summer. They've been to more camps than any of our teams here.
I was going to tell you, we've actually gotten them 5 times this year already through summer camps and summer leagues that played it, and they look really good. I've been impressed with this young, scrappy bunch.
Well, they got Peabody, and the whole Peabody family is great athletes. Right. Dad's a great coach. He's one of our assistants in girls basketball.
Right.
But they've been they have to go still to Alabama and A&M. They've been to Auburn. They've been to CSU.
Yep.
But I got to brag on this. My favorite thing I've seen the basketball team. I was one day in my office. It was the day's football team was gone 7-7. Nice and quiet here. I can get some paperwork done. All of a sudden, basketball players are at the door, and I knew they had a playing day. They'd be at CSU that day. It's like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Ingersoll comes marching them in. Coach Ingersoll, no, we ain't missing a workout for no summer dates. I said, man, you just made my day. They came in here, grinded a lower body workout, and took their butts to CSU. I said,
wow.
that's awesome.
And they ended up winning the game, by the way.
Yeah, they won the game. That's one of the things I asked. I was pumped. So they're truly soaking in that he knows they're young, and they got some development still to do in some areas, and they're committing to it. So I'm really excited about this. And then on the girls' side, I definitely got to talk about them. Coach Welch. So I got an opportunity to sit down with them, and I haven't got as much as I want to. It's like every time we get to talk, we get pulled different directions. But I went to their playing date. And him and Coach Bates are together with that staff, and Coach Peabody's over there with them. And you talk about a love for the game. And I like the way he addresses and coaches our girls, man. It's a passion, but it's a mentorship, and I respect that. That's hard to do for a female athlete. I've never coached him, but you've got to be able to take things differently. Can't just be the same, and he does a great job with that. And I was watching them. They had probably 12 games that day in the gym and just rolling around. He's bouncing around from JV to varsity girls and going around. And they're very young, but they got a little ninth grader. She's going to be special. I love watching people that can hop and run, and she can do both.
And we actually were able to catch them again at the CSU team camp. So we were able to get the Panthers and Lady Panthers here this past summer.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about those two. And they work really well together. I'm excited about watching the basketball games. And it's always fun to watch in our gym because basketball, just like football around here and baseball, there's a lot of fans, and they're fun to listen to, and it's sitting in the close quarters. So I'm looking forward to it.
What about swimming? This is a sport that is kind of unheralded, Coach. Don't get a lot of exposure, and it's kind of tough being able to do live streaming some of the swimming matches, which we're potentially trying to maybe be able to do. But who leads the swimming program?
So Coach Coleman, she is like in sports world, she's a utility man. She does it all. She's unbelievable. She helps with flag football. She does a lot of the administrative stuff. She knows the rule book better than officials. I'll go ahead and say that. She does our swimming team. She does our tennis team. She dives into anything you need. She's unbelievable. So, like, when I met with her when I first took the job, I was talking about swimming because I don't know nothing about swimming. If I go in a pool, I'm relaxing. Man, I'm not swimming.
Right.
If I dive off the diving board, that's it for the day.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so and she goes out there and she's showing me all this technology with swimming. I didn't know all this. So, like, she keeps up with her swimmers because there's not a lot of meets around here locally for Alabama. So they have to, like, commute to Birmingham, Huntsville, and all these different places. But she keeps up with them by these apps. So, like, when they get these times, it immediately alerts her on her phone, so-and-so's at this place, so-and-so did this time, so-and-so split is this, that. Right. I'm going, holy cow.
That's a lot of information.
That's a lot of information. I'm like, you can't cheat this. But Cage Brady is one of our swimmers that's doing really good, is just living in the swimming world, traveling all over the state. And I think it's a sport that's starting to grow in Alabama because they're starting to do more and more. She was telling me about some things they're doing with pools and stuff. They want certain ones that don't take away times by airflow and all this. I'm going, I thought it was just a pool with chlorine in it, but okay. But it's definitely starting to grow. And I think over time, you're going to see more complexes. I think it's going to pop more and more.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, man. And now let's go to the main sport in winter, which is wrestling. And we got some national championship caliber wrestlers on this wrestling team. Talk about it. Who leads that program? How excited are you about wrestling? Because you're pretty fired up. When we came in here, we had one of the wrestlers who, I'll let you explain it, is pretty phenomenal in his weight category, and he's in here working out, and you can see why he really cares about his craft.
Yeah. So Coach Tommy Sanders runs our boys team, and his wife Jenny Sanders runs our girls team.
Oh, family affair.
Yeah, family affair, and they are a wrestling family. He is well known in this area. If I'm not, and somebody quotes me wrong on this, I think I'm right. He's the winningest coach in the Chattahoochee Valley history.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I know some people that are Larry Morgan people are going to start looking this up on me, but I think he's the winningest dual record coach in this area history. And he's unbelievable. Our wrestling team does average 20, 24 wins a year. In duels, they've been to the state finals. They typically quarterfinals, semifinals team. They were young last year. They returned pretty much the entire lineup, and they've got some pretty special wrestlers. This is going to be a fun year to watch. Leading that is his son, Eli Sanders. He's a sophomore, just won a state title, just made Team USA in Alabama.
Holy smokes.
Was first place in, I hope I say this right, first place in folk style, second place in Greco. In freestyle, won a state championship in it, and just went to the Penn State camp and won the takedown for his weight class competition in the Penn State camp. He's a pleasure to watch, and they're old school. Coach Sanders teaches a certain brand of wrestling that's pretty physical. They believe in that old school Iowa mentality, and that's what they carry to it. And they're fun to watch. I've put a lot of pressure on Coach Sanders this year that I'm really hoping that we're going to be taking a trip for the state finals this year. We got a chance. They'll say it like that. We got a really good chance.
And we were able to, again, do some wrestling matches last year. It is another sport where sometimes can be kind of hard to keep up with all the different matches and stuff. But once you get in there and you're just able to watch it, maybe throw out like trying to keep up with every score and everything else. You're just watching them compete on the mat. That in itself is so unique, man. And it's really cool to be able to watch the technique, the strategy. There's a lot of thinking involved in this when they're going to be able to take someone down, when they're going to make their move. It's, again, stuff that I was not familiar with. And listen, Bryan, I am an advocate in saying I'm one of the biggest sports guys you know. Like, I can name you every stat known to man, the last 40 national champions in college football. But I never really was big on looking at the other sports. Not like I love football, basketball, baseball, but that's what I suck to, and maybe some soccer here and there. But as I started doing this and realizing volleyball, that's its own unique. You catch me now watching college volleyball because of it. And now flag football has been a big part. Wrestling, I'm seeing myself looking up and seeing information on that. And I really do thoroughly enjoy this. And I can't wait to be able to showcase some of your team.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. You know, we've got, we have, I think it's two returning state placers. We had a kid that last year got injured.
Wow.
Tore his ACL, would have probably had a shot to win it.
Right.
He returns this year. We got a kid, Amari Allen. You want to be entertained? Watch him wrestle. He just won the takedown in his weight class at Penn State as well.
Oh wow.
He's an energy ball. He could probably go WWE one day because of his big personality. So they're really
very
fun to
passionate.
watch. Very passionate and the loudest human being inside the gym at all times. So.
I see, and that's the part I love, especially about high school athletics in this avenue. It's just these kids showing their personalities, being really innocent and just playing the sport that they love, not thinking about the outside stuff. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to spring now. We got multiple sports. It's Sitting with an Athletic Director, State of the Programs on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
My name is Quinteria Perry, and this is my CVCC story. I've graduated from CVCC with my associates in medical assistant, and I received my certification from CVCC. The training that I got from CVC and being prepared to come and do clinicals helped tremendously. I started looking at scholarships, and the Ambassador Scholarship was interesting to me because you did events to earn your scholarship and you meet people. My favorite part about my job is meeting patients every day. They will crack me up every day. They make my day better. I would recommend CVCC to anyone that asks because of the scholarships, the teachers, the small stuff that you can't get at a university. They actually take the time out for each student.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sitting with an Athletic Director. State of the Programs here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live here at Smith Station. Athletic Director Bryan Eason. We're in the spring now, and we're going to start with tennis and golf. We'll go kind of combine those, and these are two unique sports. I tried playing tennis one time, Coach, when I was in high school, and I really was just going out there to have fun. I wasn't trying out for the team. I wanted to play against guys that were on the tennis team. Like, all right, I'm looking at them. I'm a better athlete. Come on. Play on the basketball team, play football. I'm going to go out there and dominate these guys. And then I had a ball hit to me about 90 miles an hour at my head. I ducked. It was a point for the other guy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing this anymore. That is not fair. So I commend those tennis players. It's a tough sport, and it's a lot tougher than many people think, especially guys that are really good at it, can hit that ball very hard. Who leads the tennis and golf program?
Coach Coleman leads our tennis team, and longtime golf coach, Coach Alex Davis, who's been very successful here, has led our golf team. Both of them do a great job. Coach Coleman, I mentioned to you, she's like a utility person. She does so much for our school.
Awesome.
But one of the things she did was rebuild our tennis program, and it's been awesome, and she's done it the right way. Her group that she has in tennis are very young, but there has to be about 25, 30 of those kids out there. And I caught myself, I was working the gate for a soccer game one night last year, and I turned around, and they're going through stuff and drilling, and I'm like watching, this is really fun to watch. And I was listening to her instruction. I said, man, she's doing a phenomenal job, you know, building this thing literally from bottom, and it's going to and it's going to grow very quickly here. We actually have a pretty large little tennis court area that has opportunity for people to do that. And Brody Hammock's one of our better players that's been spending all summer in training, doing the things that they need to do to get better. So that's been one thing. But golf, now that's something I love to think I'd like to do. Say it like that. I absolutely love it. Coach Davis has been a real close friend of mine.
You're going to have to teach me how to play, Coach. It's one thing I've always wanted to do is play a round of golf. I can putt, but that's not golf, really. So
best advice I can ever give in your life, just swing to your hands bleed. Don't listen to anybody tells you, just swing to your hands bleed.
Right.
And then after that, just keep swinging.
Right.
You'll figure it out. Like, Hank Aaron he taught himself how to hit all those home runs.
Good point. There we go.
But Coach Davis does a really good job. Our boys were phenomenal this past year. They had a senior loaded, had 2 kids signed for college.
Awesome.
And got to watch them. They did a really good job. And it's tough. You got Auburn in our area, and they can absolutely – I mean, they all play, so it's tough. And he was toe for toe with him last year. I thought it was really good. But for him, his girls' golf team next year is going to be really, really good and developing. I don't know if this is part of it. Last year, we had a 7th grader make state in 7A golf.
Get out of here.
Yeah, Mia Sweatman, I think how you pronounce her name. She was a 7th grader that made the state tournament. I watched her, and one of the first golf tournaments I went to last year to help them, I was watching her swing, and I'm like, this little girl's pretty solid. And I started watching her, and she's real consistent. I'm like, wow, this girl's special. And I asked her, he said, oh, yeah, she's going to be something special. But we have another one that's really good, too, Jay Wiley. She can absolutely crush a golf ball. Her swing is beautiful, and I watched her a couple times. She cuts the course down so quickly because she does have a lot of power off the greens. So there are 2 girls that are going to be really fun to watch this year. So, yeah, he's got a good little group, and they've both done a great job with the program.
Oh, no, you're convincing me that I should go out there and try to swing a golf club and look like Charles Barkley. All right, moving on now. Let's talk about soccer. Who are leading the soccer programs? And you've got really good soccer programs that are very competitive. Called my first ever soccer state championships this year. And I'm telling you, that again, is another sport. A lot of strategy, more than you think, of just kicking a ball here, there, and some people that don't understand the game, they think they're pointless passes. There's always thinking going on with that sport. Who leads both girls and boys programs? So
our boys, we completely revamped the staff. We actually have Coach Ward, who has an amazing resume. He's our new head boys soccer coach. He's done work. He did Dothan's program years ago. He was down in Florida where he was nationally ranked. I can't remember the name of the school, but they were highly ranked. Actually, nationally ranked. I'm almost positive on that. And from there, we hired Dakota Leon, who was the assistant head coach at Pike Road, was an ex-graduate here, great soccer player and great wrestler. He's going to be one of our junior high wrestling coaches, but also an assistant varsity coach.
Awesome.
And I got to brag, we stole another one from Muskogee County. We got Carter Singletary from Columbus High School. So that's our boys staff, and it's a young team. They have a senior in there, Hayden Hagan, who's a pretty special soccer player. But those guys together, they've already been training, doing things together. And I hear them all. I go by and check on them. I hear them. It's about touches, it's about smooth touches. So they are drilling and working those guys. I'm really excited about the future of our boys.
Awesome.
Now, our girls, they're pretty special.
Yeah, I'm saying, Coach.
I held off on that one. Coach Jones has been a long-time coach here, has a phenomenal team. Last year we had the leading scorer in the state of Alabama.
Yep.
Haley, she is. I tell people all the time. First time I watched her, I said, when she plays soccer, she plays it like a high school running back. Like, she doesn't go side to side. She just goes through people.
Right.
I said, that's what I'm talking about.
Right past.
I think she had 55 goals last year. I think
Holy
was the number
smokes.
in 7A. That's crazy. And then we also have an elite athlete that's more middle field defender, Marley Cook. She is unbelievable to watch. The first time I saw her run break a ball, I went, oh, my Lord. But that entire team, we lost 2 seniors. Everybody else comes back. And that was a team that made a very good run, got a little banged up at the playoffs. But we're expecting really big things from that team next year. And they're excited. We've gotten some moving parts with soccer, trying to make some more moves and stuff like that. We've hired some coaches on that staff for him. So we're really excited about the future of that program. It's always been a staple for us, and we're hoping for a big run this year.
Unlike in Georgia, in Alabama, softball is in the spring. And let's talk about who leads the softball program.
That's Coach King. He's also our flag football coach. This will be his, I think it's his 4th year as our head softball coach. This group right here that we were just talking about them the other day, he's got a group that's been together a little bit, had a little bit of time, kind of went through their bumps being young. But this year, they've got some seniors that are going to be pretty special. I think pitching is really going to be a strength.
Awesome.
Libby Parkman's going to lead that group for us. She's a really good, solid athlete for us. And that staff's working really hard. They're one of the best programs in our school with the strength conditioning program. They do a phenomenal job year-round. I always tip my hat to them. I'm very proud of where they're going and stuff. So I'm really excited about that this year.
Baseball. We were able to see Smith Station Baseball last year, a scrappy group. that was very competitive and young, and I think they're going to have a special year in the next couple of seasons. Who leads the baseball program?
So Coach Wesley Bird's our head baseball coach, and I'm really excited about our baseball. I think last year, I think I'm right on this. It was 6 10th graders, 2 9th graders,
Extremely
and 1
young.
senior. And in 7A, that's unheard of. That was a very young baseball team. And one of the major emphasis when I got the job, me and Coach Bird met, and I said, we'll meet once the season is, finish your season. And we're pretty close. He coached me a few years back. He's a great coach.
Right.
He told me, he said, my emphasis is getting bigger and stronger. He said, we're young. He said, we got to develop. And I left their workouts before this meeting to check and see how they were doing. They've really emphasized about getting bigger and stronger, and they are hammering it in the weight room right now. It's a sport that, how do I say this the right way? A lot of times kids get overused in the game. I'm just going to say it like it is, where people think it's more important to play than to develop the muscles. And you're talking about small muscle groups, scapulas, ligaments, and all these different labrums. There has to be time for that. And I think he's really made an emphasis with the parents community. This is going to be where your growth comes. If you don't rest the body and develop strength with it, you're not arming your body for the long haul.
Good point, Coach.
And baseball's a marathon. I don't care what anybody,
Long
softball,
season.
baseball is a marathon, and throwing a ball is not a natural human motion. And for that reason, you have to develop a body a certain way to be able to do that. And that's been something that he's really pushed across the table.
I completely agree on that, and I'm glad you made mention. Sometimes it's more about wins and losses. It should be about the development part of it, and that means not overusing, which I do like the number of pitches you can use for a pitcher because, back in the day, I remember it's funny, Bobby Howard, when he was at Columbus High, he had a great pitcher, and Bubba, I can't think of his last name now, but he, back in the 80s, pitched games 1 and 2 to win the state championship, was used back to back. I think that is unheard of nowadays.
Sure, in the 90s too. I'm
Yeah,
just playing.
but seriously, that's how it used to be. And nowadays, we're making sure we're being more cautious and proactive in the development of players.
That's right.
All right, Coach. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap it up with some of the facility and the growth of the campus here at Smith Station High School on State of the Program. We'll be right back after this.
Here they come. Truckloads of fresh inventory to Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika. Choose from a huge selection of full-size GMC Sierras, discounted up to $13,250 off. New GMC Terrains, the popular SUV known for its safety, technology, and performance, is discounted up to $7,500 off. Enjoy. No payments until July. People from all over the USA save at Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika. Get ready to smile.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sitting with an Athletic Director, State of the Programs. And Bryan, Eason, we're wrapping it up now. And so we were here a few weeks ago. I got to meet you at the groundbreaking of the new athletic indoor facility, which we're excited about. So talk about that endeavor. When is construction start? When is it going to be done? Is there anything else around the Smith Station campus that's being elevated?
Yeah, so they broke ground 2 weeks ago. And they've done all the piping. That was actually been really fun to watch because there's some massive equipment been out there. They're laying all the piping and all the foundations for irrigation and draining water out for drainage. After that, they're going to turn around and start creating the foundation for the impact. So that's all. And it was supposed to be 288 days from the day they broke ground.
Wow.
So we're less than that now. So it's definitely in effect. And of course, that's depending on weather and stuff like that. We just are remodeled. We're in the process. It already started. Hopefully have it done here next couple of weeks. Being that now we house the 9th grade and high school, we now have a fully freshman locker room that will also house the wrestling team. So what happens is our freshman football team are housed there with Coach Jones, our 9th grade football coach. Once football ends, we then move them to the big locker room with the players, and then that will now house our wrestling teams, 50 lockers. So now we're able to house, when the school came up here, we have a locker room for 90, but now you're housing both programs. We didn't have enough space.
Right.
So we got that. That's all in the works right now. We're getting ready to windscreen our entire soccer flag football facility.
Awesome.
I like that look where you're able to put home of the Panthers, be able to put the brand logos of the Smith Station with the flag and the crest for the soccer team. It'll actually give it a really good aesthetics look. We also are doing the stadium. They just phrased a football, softball, and baseball fields. And so what phrasing is, it's kind of a modern version of thatching that creates a tighter surface, which you see on professional fields. So our actual football, baseball, and softball fields will have a really nice surface and helps with the drainage. That's already been done. They've started the wiring for the Jumbotron. August 1st, they'll be shoehorning the stadium with the back bleachers going in the back.
Oh, wow.
It will add another 1,000 seats for fans.
And that's been something that's been needed here.
Oh, needed bad. That's so bad because there's standing room only every game.
Every game.
It's unbelievable. And we try not to invade the away team with our fans. This will help with that issue. And then we got the LED lights coming in. So all this stuff's popping right now. We're in the process right now of looking at different things for the window screening, the shade screening of all of the things in the field house and at the gymnasium with the logos and stuff like that. We're in that process of getting different looks. So we're doing a lot of upgrades to the aesthetics of the place, making it look like we want it to make it look like a college campus. That's been one of our goals, and we've got a 3-year plan of different stages that we're going to get down the road and be able to do. But that's the things that are in the works right now and are going to happen in the next couple of weeks, months.
Dude, I love everything that you just said, and you brought up the 3-year plan. This is your message to the Smith Station community on what that is, what that is entail. What is a athletic program led by Bryan Eason going to look like here at Smith Station?
Well, you got to tell yourself, if you're at a 7A school, your expectations have to be an opportunity to give your kids the best chance to do something, whatever it is, the day they come across that graduation floor. And in saying that, we have to be able to develop these kids that when they leave this campus, they're going to be able to do something proactive in their life. One of the big messages that I've told about to our coaches so far I've met with, and it's going to be our message coming in August 1st when we do our professional development and I have meetings with coaches, is we have to create great students. We've got to create great sons and daughters, right. And we got to create an opportunity for growth to be great dads and mothers one day in society. And that's going to be the base of our development. Here, they're going to get an elite top opportunity in coaching. The coaching number, I'll say it, is, hopefully by the next 2 weeks, our number will actually hit 21 new coaches on staff. Right now we're at 19. If things go, knock on wood, like you're supposed to, it'll be 21 coaches that we will have on board since April that are now in multiple different facets in all of our programs. And one thing we're also doing, we just got, matter of fact, the text came through. We started the social media profiling with Athletic Academy. That's a big thing that a lot of 7A schools and bigger schools are doing. We're going to start with football because that's our biggest sport. We're going to feed it into all of our athletic program. Basically, it creates profiles where they can have their huddle highlights, they can have their ACT scores, their grades. It's all in a database. Now, not only can coaches, but now parents, not many people have this, can forward their information to any coach in America. It comes with every college coach in America.
That's awesome, man.
So that's something that we're trying to create. And for those, I'm going to say this, the train is loading up. And it's only going one direction, that's forward. And the people that want to jump off, they don't want to grind and work with us because we're going to give it a great opportunity, and it's going to be something special. But to be on it, you're going to have to work. And that's what we've been telling people. And we want everybody on it. So we're looking forward to it. I'm pumped about it. I'm ready to sit back a year from now and go, okay, what's the next thing we can do to make us even that much better? Yeah. And that's always the plan.
Get on the train or you're going to get left. This is why I got a lot of energy and passion about what's going to happen here at Smith Station. Sleeping giant, I don't think anymore. I think this giant is now waking up with Bryan Eason. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for allowing us to be here, and we look forward to a great partnership with Smith Station High School this year.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, buddy.
This is Sitting with an Athletic Director, State of the Programs, Bryan Eason and Smith Station. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, everyone.